The reason most people die with their greatest work still locked inside them is not because they had too many enemies, but because they had too many friends. Let me submit to you today that your addiction to being liked is killing your assignment. You have confused popularity with purpose. And while you are busy maintaining relationships that were never designed to last a lifetime, the very thing you were sent to earth to accomplish is suffocating under the weight of your need for approval. The manufacturer never designed you to be everyone's favorite person. He designed you to be effective, not likable. He designed you to be obedient, not popular. And until you understand the difference between being friendly and being faithful to your assignment, you will continue to spend your life's most valuable currency on people who were only supposed to be footnotes in your story, not entire chapters. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. When you do not know why you were born, you will let anyone decide how you should live. You do not need motivation to set boundaries. You need revelation about what you carry. You need to understand that not everyone deserves access to you, not because you are better than them, but because you are stewarding something more valuable than their temporary comfort. Your time is collateral for your purpose. Your energy is the down payment on your destiny. And every time you say yes to someone you should have said no to, you are embezzling from the future you were born to create. Listen to me carefully. The graveyard is the richest place on earth, not because of what people took with them, but because of what they gave away to the wrong people before they died. They gave their best ideas to friends who did not have the capacity to protect them. They gave their most creative hours to relationships that produced nothing but conversation. They gave their emotional energy to people who were never assigned to their journey, and when it was time to execute their original assignment, they had nothing left. They died friendly but fruitless. They died popular but empty. Now let me destroy some lies that are holding you hostage. The first lie is this: if you are not friendly to everyone, you are not a good person. This is demonic nonsense designed to make you distribute your anointing to people who were never meant to carry it. The manufacturer of a surgical scalpel does not expect it to be used as a butter knife. The designer of a military-grade weapon does not apologize because it cannot be used to plant flowers. You were built with specifications, and those specifications include limitations. Your limitations are not character flaws, they are design features. When you try to be everything to everyone, you become nothing to the people who actually need what you carry. You are not rejecting people when you protect your assignment. You are honoring the manufacturer's intention. The second lie is that boundaries make you difficult. No, boundaries make you functional. A river without banks is not generous, it is a flood. It destroys everything in its path because it has no definition, no direction, no purpose. Your friendliness without boundaries is not kindness. It is chaos. It is the refusal to accept that you were created for specific relationships, specific assignments, specific seasons. Every yes you give to the wrong person is a no to the right opportunity. Every hour you spend managing someone else's emotions is an hour stolen from your mandate. The people who call you difficult when you establish boundaries are the same people who benefited from your dysfunction. They do not want you healed. They want you available. The third lie is that friendship is measured by availability. This is the economics of poverty applied to relationships. In the kingdom, value is not determined by how much you give, but by what you steward. A rare diamond is not rare because it refuses to be common. It is rare because of its composition, its formation, its process. You were not mass-produced. You were custom designed for an assignment that will not succeed if you are accessible to everyone. The manufacturer did not put a 40-hour work week inside you so you could spend 35 of those hours on people who are not connected to your purpose. He gave you limited time on earth as a test of your stewardship. How you manage your relationships reveals whether you understand your assignment. The fourth lie is that isolation is the same as focus. Some of you have heard teaching about cutting people off, and you have swung to the opposite extreme. You have become so guarded that you have locked out the very people the manufacturer sent to help you build. Let me clarify something. Being selective is not the same as being suspicious. Boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are gates. They allow the right people in at the right time and keep the wrong people out at all times. You were never called to live in isolation. You were called to live in alignment. Alignment means you surround yourself with people who are assigned to your purpose, not people who are attracted to your personality. Personality attracts a crowd. Purpose attracts a team. The fifth lie is that you can maintain every relationship you have ever had. This is mathematically and spiritually impossible. You were not built with infinite relational capacity. You have a manufacturer's limit. Even Jesus, the most socially conscious leader who ever lived, had 12 disciples, 3 close friends, and 1 best friend. He loved the multitudes, but he invested in the few. He fed 5,000, but he ate with 12. He healed the masses, but he took Peter, James, and John up the mountain. If the son of the manufacturer had relational priorities, what makes you think you can operate without them? Your attempt to be equally close to everyone is not humility. It is disobedience. It is the refusal to acknowledge that the manufacturer has already assigned people to your life in different categories. And your job is to discern the category, not ignore it. Now, let me teach you core principles that will reconstruct how you build relationships. The first principle is this: you were designed for assignment, not acceptance. The manufacturer did not send you to earth to collect friends. He sent you to complete a task. Every human being born into this planet came with an original assignment that only they can fulfill. That assignment requires specific relationships, specific resources, specific seasons. When you prioritize being friendly over being faithful to your assignment, you corrupt the design. You become a general tool when you were built as a specialized instrument. A heart surgeon does not perform the same function as a plumber, not because one is better than the other, but because they were trained for different emergencies. Your life is not an emergency room where everyone gets equal attention. Your life is a specialized practice where only certain cases are meant to come through your door. Here is the second principle. Potential unused becomes graveyard currency. Everything you have that you do not use dies with you and funds the cemetery. Every relationship you maintain out of guilt instead of assignment is draining potential that was supposed to go somewhere else. You have gifts that will never be unwrapped because you are too busy wrapping other people's lives in your attention. You have inventions that will never be built because you are too busy building other people's egos. The manufacturer gave you 70, 80, maybe 90 years if you are blessed, and you are spending them on people who will forget your name 6 months after you are gone. I am not telling you to be cruel. I am telling you to be conscious. Count the cost of your friendships. If a relationship costs you your peace, your focus, your creativity, or your time with the manufacturer, it is too expensive, no matter how long you have known the person. The third principle is separation precedes elevation. You cannot go higher while holding on to everyone. This is not opinion. This is the law of aerodynamics applied to destiny. An airplane cannot take off if it is still attached to the ground. A seed cannot grow if it refuses to separate from the tree. Every level of your life requires a different weight capacity, and some people who could handle your ground season cannot survive your altitude. This does not make them bad people. It makes them wrong season people. The manufacturer will bring you relationships that are designed for where you are going, but you have to release relationships that were only designed for where you were. Holding on to old friendships while trying to build a new future is like driving forward while looking in the rearview mirror. You will crash. The fourth principle is access to you is a privilege, not a right. You are not a public park. You are private property owned by the manufacturer, and he decides who gets keys. When you treat your time, your energy, your ideas, and your presence as things everyone deserves, you devalue what the manufacturer made priceless. Your access should cost something, not money. Alignment, not social status. Assignment, not history, current capacity. Some people were in your life for a season, and that season has expired, but you keep extending it because you are afraid of being called unfriendly. Meanwhile, the manufacturer is trying to bring you people who have what you need for the next level, and there is no room because you are still hosting people from 3 levels ago. The fifth principle is relational integrity requires relational intelligence. Integrity is not just about being honest. It is about being whole, complete, undamaged. You cannot have relational integrity if you are in relationships that fragment you. Relational intelligence is the ability to discern who is a sign, who is seasonal, and who is a distraction. It is knowing the difference between someone who needs you and someone who is using you. It is recognizing when loyalty to a person has become disloyalty to your purpose. The manufacturer gave you discernment not to judge people but to steward your assignment. When you feel drained after spending time with someone, that is not them being negative. That is your spirit telling you they are withdrawing from an account they were never supposed to have access to. Let me give you a sixth principle. The manufacturer measures your success by your obedience, not your friendliness. On the day you stand before him, he will not ask you how many people liked you. He will ask you what you did with what he gave you. He will not count your social media followers. He will count your fulfilled assignments. He will not measure your popularity. He will measure your productivity in the kingdom. And if you spent your entire life being too friendly to execute what he called you to do, Your eulogy will be full of people who loved you, but your legacy will be empty of the thing you were born to create. The seventh principle is kingdom economics operates on the law of exchange. Everything costs something. Friendship costs time. Mentorship costs focus. Partnership costs vulnerability. The question is not whether you should invest in relationships. The question is whether the relationship is producing a kingdom return. If you are pouring into people who are not growing, not producing, not aligned with your assignment, you are not being generous, you are being foolish. The manufacturer did not give you relational seed to scatter on concrete. He gave it to you to plant in fertile soil. Stop watering dead relationships and wondering why you are not seeing harvest in your life. Let me tell you a story about a young woman who almost lost her entire destiny because she was too friendly. She was brilliant, anointed, full of ideas that could have changed her industry, but she had a problem. She could not say no. Every time someone called her with a problem, she dropped everything to help them. Every time a friend needed advice, she became their unpaid therapist. Every time someone needed a favor, she rearranged her schedule. She was known as the most helpful person in her circle. Everyone loved her. Everyone called her. Everyone leaned on her. And she was dying inside. Her business ideas stayed in her journal. Her books stayed unwritten. Her dreams stayed on pause because she was too busy managing everyone else's life. One day, she had a breakdown. She was in her car, exhausted, on her way to help another friend move for the third time that year, and something in her snapped. She pulled over and started weeping. She said out loud, "I am going to die, and no one will even know what I carry because I gave it all away for free to people who did not even value it." That moment became her turning point. She went home, made a list of every relationship in her life and put them in categories: assigned, seasonal, casual. Then she made a decision. She would only invest her best time and energy into the people who were assigned to her journey. The seasonal people got her presence, but not her priority. The casual people got her kindness, but not her calendar. Within 2 years, she had written her book, launched her business, and built a team of people who were aligned with her vision. The people who called her selfish were the same people who had been using her. The people who celebrated her were the ones who were assigned to help her build. Here is another story, this one about a CEO who almost destroyed his company because he hired his friends. He had built a successful business from the ground up, and when it was time to expand, he filled his leadership team with people he had known for years. They were his friends from college, his buddies from his old neighborhood, people he trusted. The problem was they were not qualified. They did not have the skills, the discipline, or the vision for what he was building. But he kept them because he was loyal. He thought friendship was more important than competency. Within 18 months, his company was bleeding money. Projects were failing. Deadlines were missed. Morale was dying. He was working 18-hour days trying to compensate for the incompetence of people he refused to fire because they were his friends. Finally, one of his mentors sat him down and said, "You are confusing friendship with stewardship. The manufacturer did not give you this business so you could give your friends jobs. He gave you this business so you could fulfill an assignment. If your friends cannot execute at the level your assignment requires, they need to go." It was the hardest decision he ever made, but he restructured his entire team. Some of his friends understood. Most of them did not. But his company survived, and within 3 years, it was thriving again. He learned that being too friendly in the wrong context is not love. It is sabotage. One more story. Imagine a hospital where the head surgeon is too friendly to turn anyone away. A patient comes in with a broken arm, and the surgeon operates. Another patient comes in with a heart condition, and the surgeon operates. Another patient comes in with a brain tumor, and the surgeon operates. The problem is, the surgeon is an orthopedic specialist. He was trained for bones, not hearts, not brains. But because he is too friendly to say no, people die on his table. His friendliness becomes their funeral. This is what you are doing when you say yes to assignments. You were not built for just because you do not want to disappoint people. You are practicing outside your specialization. And both you and the people you are trying to help end up damaged. Now, I need to interrupt what we are building here because some of you are still sitting in this moment thinking this does not apply to you. You think you have balance. You think you are managing your friendships well. But let me ask you a diagnostic question. When was the last time you had 8 uninterrupted hours to work on something the manufacturer put in your heart? When was the last time you woke up and your calendar belonged to your assignment instead of other people's agendas? When was the last time you went an entire week without feeling guilty for not responding to someone immediately? If you cannot answer those questions, you are too friendly. You have given away the keys to your life. And now you are a guest in your own house. Here is what I need you to do right now. Wake up. Stop lying to yourself about the cost of your people pleasing. You know exactly which relationships are draining you. You know exactly which friendships are built on obligation instead of alignment. You know exactly who calls you only when they need something and disappears when you need them. Stop pretending you do not see it. The manufacturer has already shown you. Your exhaustion is the evidence. Your lack of progress is the proof. Your frustration is the signal. You are not confused. You are disobedient. You know what needs to change, but you are more afraid of being called mean than you are of dying with your assignment incomplete. Now remember who you are. You are not an accident. You were not born to fill space. You were designed by the manufacturer of the universe with specific features, specific functions, specific assignments. He put something in you that the world needs, but the world will never get it if you keep giving it to the wrong people. You are not everyone's friend. You are someone's solution. You are not everyone's counselor. You are someone's builder. You are not everyone's encourager. You are someone's general. And until you accept that your life has specific targets, you will keep shooting arrows into the air and wondering why you are not hitting anything. Now decide. This is your point of no return. You cannot go back to unconscious people-pleasing after this moment. You cannot go back to managing relationships out of guilt. You cannot go back to saying yes when the manufacturer is telling you no. Today you draw a line in the sand. On one side is your old pattern of being too friendly, too available, too accommodating. On the other side is your assignment. You cannot have both. You cannot carry your purpose and carry everyone's opinion of you. You cannot steward your anointing and steward everyone's emotions. Choose today. Will you be friendly or will you be faithful? Now act. Here's what you do in the next 72 hours. First, make a list of every person who has access to your time, your energy, or your emotional bandwidth. Write down their names. Second, next to each name, write one word: assign, seasonal, or casual. Be honest. Do not write what you wish. Write what is true. Assigned people are connected to your purpose, invested in your growth, and aligned with where the manufacturer is taking you. Seasonal people serve the purpose for a specific time, but that time has passed. Casual people are acquaintances who should never have become priorities. Third, within 7 days, have a conversation with every seasonal person on your list. You do not have to be cruel, but you do have to be clear. Thank them for what they brought to your life. Release them with honor and create new boundaries. Fourth, within the next 30 days, block out a minimum of 10 hours per week that belong only to your assignment. No meetings, no phone calls, no favors, no distractions. This is your time with the manufacturer and your time with your purpose. Treat it as sacred. Fifth, find 3 people who are assigned to your next level and invest in those relationships with the same energy you have been wasting on people who are not going where you are going. Let me prophesy over your future right now. Everything that has frustrated you about your lack of progress was not because you were incapable. It was because you were distracted. Every delay you experienced was not the manufacturer punishing you. It was the manufacturer waiting for you to release the wrong people so he could send the right ones. Every door that closed in your face was not rejection. It was redirection away from relationships that would have aborted your assignment. But right now, in this moment, something is breaking. The spirit of people-pleasing is losing its grip on your decision-making. The fear of being disliked is being replaced by the fear of dying with your assignment incomplete. The need for approval is being swallowed by the hunger for purpose. And I decree that within the next 6 months, you will see the fruit of the boundaries you are about to set. Opportunities that have been delayed will suddenly accelerate. People who are assigned to your vision will suddenly appear. Resources that were blocked will suddenly be released. But it will only happen if you stop being too friendly with the wrong people and start being fiercely protective of what the manufacturer gave you to steward. The time is now, not next week, not after you finish this project, not after you have one more conversation. Now, the graveyard is full of people who were going to set boundaries tomorrow. The cemetery is populated with friendly people who never fulfilled their assignment because they were too afraid to disappoint someone. Do not let that be your story. You were not born to be remembered as nice. You were born to be remembered as effective. You were not born to die with a long list of friends. You were born to die empty, with every gift unwrapped, every assignment completed, every seed planted. Here is your action plan. Every morning for the next 21 days, before you check your phone, before you respond to anyone, ask the manufacturer this question: who are you assigning to my life today, and who are you removing? Then obey what he shows you. Every evening, audit your day. How much time did you spend on assigned relationships versus unassigned distractions? Adjust. At the end of 21 days, your relational ecosystem will look completely different, and so will your progress. Be original, not a copy of what everyone expects you to be. Die empty, not friendly. The time is now to stop being too friendly and start being faithful. If this message confronted something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, because there is more revelation coming that will dismantle every lie keeping you from your assignment. Now go execute.